Hi, and welcome to our first training session. Today we're going to be focusing on Canvas. So we are going to be looking at learning management systems, what Canvas is, and how we can use Canvas in our classrooms. So this training session is going to focus on a couple key ideas. First, we're going to be creating modules in Canvas. We'll also be creating learning experiences for your students, and we'll also provide an overview of different features that we will discuss briefly today, and then in more detail in the future once we have gone through the first training session. The reason behind that is the idea that if we can build a foundation first, and then we'll kind of build on that foundation so you can gain more skills and understand those features more once you have that solid foundation. So to start, I would like you to think about this infographic on the right. And I want you to think about, what does it convey to you and do you agree with it? So this infographic is giving us the top reasons teachers use technology in the classroom. It says 77% report that it increases student motivation, 76 say that it reinforces content, and 76 say that it helps respond to a variety of learning styles. So take a moment and consider, what is this trying to tell us, and do you agree with that? Now, if we also consider your own classroom, your own instruction and teaching, think about, what role does technology play or will play in your instruction? So if you haven't taught before, think about maybe what you hope to use technology for, or if you have taught, maybe how you've used it, or goals that you envision for the future of how you would like to use it. Now, if we think about that infographic and then your own instruction, some possible responses may include the idea that technology engages students, it makes the content accessible, it creates relevant learning activities, reinforces learning, and it provides different ways to learn. Throughout the course of this session, we have 4 main objectives. By the end of this, you will be able to evaluate the effectiveness of a learning management system and how it positively impacts learning. Design, develop, and implement a Canvas course for at least one class. Compare and contrast various ways to organize modules in Canvas based on the needs of your students. And create at least one engaging learning experience for students. At a previous session, you learned about the importance of a LMS, and you kind of had a rundown of what Canvas is and how to set up that course. So you were kind of walked through those steps. So let's review the basics before we go into more detail about Canvas. If we recall, an LMS is a learning management system. It's intended to administer, track, and deliver content and data online. So we use Canvas at school to keep track of grades. So we have the gradebook feature. We are delivering content through resources that we upload, assignments that we create, discussions that we generate. And it's also used as learning courses online for students as well. Couple advantages of using learning management systems: they provide accessible ways to provide content, integrating course materials easily. So it's really nice. You can upload so many different resources for your students. You can communicate with students and parents. You can continually add materials and change them as needed. So if we start this year, if you build that foundation, you can add to them, so you're not always starting from scratch every year. Now we're actually going to get into, what is Canvas, what are the features, what do I need to know about Canvas. So if we were going to start working through this material. So the first, Canvas, the different features we talked about, gradebook, quizzes, assignments, discussions, and modules. So today we're going to focus on those modules and assignments, but like I said, at future training, we're going to go into more of those tools in greater detail. And then also, we will kind of sequence through getting to external tools such as Google, Quizlet, and Newsela, and many others. This is just an example snapshot from my own economics course, just to kind of point out on the left-hand side the different features that I just listed, so we can kind of see We have a lot that we are going to be eventually getting to as we go through these sessions. Couple icons to be aware of. The first one is a pencil and paper, and that indicates an assignment. The second is a rocket ship, which indicates a quiz. And the third one, the thought bubbles, they indicate a discussion. So it's just good to know these. So if you're trying to organize your information or students are unsure of what they're expected to do, this is kind of a short, easy way to quickly identify what they're doing. Now, taking some information, we're actually going to go through this, and I'm going to guide you as we go through it by using my own Canvas page. So that way, as you're working on your computer on your own class, you can follow along the different steps that I'm completing. So it will hopefully be more interactive and make more sense to you and kind of give you a visual that you need to better understand how to set different features up. So we're going to start by creating a module. And like I said, we'll go to my Canvas page. So in your course, on your left-hand side, you'll click on modules. So you can see here that it's highlighted for me. And if we kind of scroll through and take a look at mine, the different headings here, so in bold, that is indicating the different modules that I created. So I have class information, economic basics, economic systems, economic indicators, and so on. So kind of from there, you can kind of get the idea that I organize mine based on the units that we study. It makes the most sense for myself and my students. They know what unit we're in, so if they need to find something, that makes it very easy for them. Other teachers I know, they've done it chronologically, so they've done maybe like week 1, 2, 3. Just if they have certain assignments that are always due on specific days, that makes sense for their students and they get that. So my advice, think about what you think would work best for your students and how you structure your own classroom and kind of weigh those advantages and disadvantages. And the really nice thing is you can always change it. So you can move around these modules, you can change the name of them, so nothing is set in stone. Now to add a module, we are going to go ahead and click on the button on the top right, so the plus sign next to the module. You're going to type in a name, so I'm just going to type in practice module, and then you click add module. It's going to put it at the very bottom, so we have the most recent down here. So if we notice, so we have the title. This circle here shows us that is not published because it is grayed out. So in order to publish your module, you're just going to click it and you should have a green check mark. Your students will not be able to see it until it is published. So it's very important to make sure they can access the information. So that is creating a module. So if we go back to kind of run down the basics, a recap, remember you are clicking on modules on the left, clicking the plus sign, the top right, naming the module, adding it, and then making sure it is published. Now within that module, remember right here, that's just kind of the snapshot of if you need to reference that information. And then once you have your module, you're going to actually create an assignment. So if we return, we go to my module. So over here on the right, we see a plus sign, and it is going to allow us to add an assignment. So here we're doing an assignment, so we just leave the default. But if you notice, there's many other options, and we will eventually get to those. You would click new assignment because we have not created one. I'm just going to call this practice, and then you would, if you want to indent it, I usually do just to help me kind of organize it. You can do that, and then you click add item, and it is added in our module. If we notice, this circle is also grayed out, so that's indicating that it's not published. So the same thing that we did with the module, we would want to publish it. And then we have our assignment within here. Now, if we kind of recap, remember I told you you can change the order of things. So if I wanted to move my module, I could. So if I didn't like it down there, I can move it. So things really helps you kind of change it to the way that you like how it's presented. So if we recap, so to create that assignment, the steps that we need within the module, you're clicking the plus sign, you're clicking new assignment, giving it a name, clicking add item, and then making sure that it's published. And then here's a snapshot. So if you need to reference what you should be looking for when you're making that assignment. And now we're actually going to look at how to add to the assignment. So if we go back to my Canvas page, I'm going to go ahead and click on the assignment. And it's going to bring me to a page where you want to go ahead and click Edit. So that's going to enable us to add what we want. We have the name. Now this text box is very important because that is where you're going to put a lot of information for your students, whether it's instructions or files that you're uploading, videos that you're uploading. So it's a good way if you really need to explain what the students need to be doing, they can easily access it there. So I'm just going to say like practice assignments instructions, and then I would provide those listed there. A nice thing is you can upload images, so you can embed media, videos. So if you have a video from YouTube, you can add that. Quizlet, so that's an external tool that I mentioned that we will eventually get to. And then on the right side, you can add files. So for example, if I was doing an economics assignment, so here, this is an assignment, I just click on it, so that's something that I currently have, but you can also upload a new file. So if it's something that you have that you can upload, you can do that. And then they have that document that they can access and download it and fill it out. And then we will discuss this in more detail as well, kind of once we go through this. But you're going to be looking at point values. So if you're determining how many points it's going to be worth, assignment groups, we'll get to that at our next training. But you can also organize your assignments and give them different weights if you would like. So if you are giving more weights to projects, you can change that. And then submission type. So if you're looking at if it's going to be online or on paper. And then you're going to be giving it a due date. So you'd be choosing from like the calendar, when it's going to be due, and then how long they have access to it. So that is when we're kind of going in, creating that assignment. And then of course you would hit save. And then if we go back kind of through those steps, so quick recap, you want to choose assignment, click on edit, fill in the information. And like I said, we're going to get to that information. And then the really important part is where I want you really thinking about how you're engaging your students. So how you are providing them files and images and videos that they can actually be using and interacting with. And then here, if you just want a quick snapshot of the page that you should be looking at. Now, as we've kind of been going through this, you've been watching the steps to kind of practice. I would like you to create at least one module and name it. And then within that module, just create one assignment. So one shell of an assignment that you would be creating for your students. So kind of think about your content area and maybe what is something that you'd like to implement, the first couple weeks of school. And kind of as you're working through that and kind of some feedback that I would give you, making sure that you organize those modules in a way that makes sense to you. So remember, we talked about maybe units versus chronological order. Provide resources within the assignments for students. Name the assignments and the modules specifically so that they're easy to find. So if you just say assignment 1, assignment 2, students may struggle to find it. And then within that text box, provide descriptions and instructions if your students need them to complete it. Now, to expand your learning, you're actually going to take that shell of an assignment that you just created and you are going to fill in resources. So whether that is a video from YouTube, an image, a file upload, and you are going to provide resources that should engage your students. So for example, if I was looking at my economics class, if we were in the unit about economic indicators such as GDP, the stock market, unemployment rate, I would probably provide links to various charts and graphs and data that they can access and have them look at 5 years worth of data and then connect that and make predictions about what they think is going to change about the data. So if it's going to continue how it is, if it's going to increase or decrease, and then encourage them to use current events to justify their predictions, and then provide links to some articles that they could read to help them make those predictions. So you're really supporting and scaffolding their learning. The rationale behind this is hopefully this will help you understand how Canvas is more than just a way to put in grades or just give the content. It should be a tool that's actually used to engage your students. So it should be a way to create interactive learning and something that they can use just beyond the basics, and you can really provide it in a way that is accessible to them and it really enhances their learning. In the future, so thinking about how we're actually going to transfer this learning, you had a chance to work with Canvas, walk through the steps with me. You're actually going to show a colleague what you learned today. So you're going to walk them through the different steps. Your colleague is going to provide feedback via a survey indicating what they learned. So kind of evaluating how you explain the different features to them and what they gained from the learning. And then you're also going to describe one goal you hope to accomplish by the end of the school year by using Canvas, because that goal is going to help us determine future training sessions and what you really need. So, our future training, we're going to be looking at topics such as quizzes, discussions, the external tools, and many more. So, based on those goals, we will look at different ideas and content that you are hoping to see. So, stay tuned for our next training session and make sure you bring those goals with you.